2, go.
Hey, Jesus people. I want to share with you guys a quick word from John chapter 11. In this chapter, we have the death of Lazarus starting over in verse 11. So let's just set the scene really quick, right? Jesus is off in another town and he hears word that his friend Lazarus is sick. And he starts telling his disciples, all right, we're going to stay here a couple more days, only to find out from another messenger that Lazarus is now dead. Now, Lazarus, his sisters, Mary and Martha, were all very good friends of Jesus. So these are people that he really cared about. And as he goes to enter the town and go visit them, now that Lazarus has passed away, his sister Martha is the first one to hear that Jesus is on his way. And I want to jump down into verse 20, because Martha, in hearing that Jesus was coming, she went to go meet him. And this is while Mary remains seated in the house. Remember, they're grieving. They have tons of people around them. This is a very sad time for them. And Martha goes to Jesus and she says to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would have not died. But even now, I know that whatever you ask from God, God will give you. And Jesus said to her, your brother will rise again. Now, Martha is a Jewish woman. She knows all about the resurrection that they've been hearing about all throughout their religious schooling, right? So she thinks that this is what Jesus is talking about. But Jesus understands that he's talking about the fact that he could raise her brother right here and right now. But in this passage, we see, first off, that Martha goes out to meet Jesus. She doesn't just wait for an encounter to come. She goes to meet Jesus. And the first thing that she does is tell him about her grievance. She tells him how upset she is that he has not been here to keep her brother alive. She's not afraid to go and tell Jesus how mad and upset she is at the situation. But she is also acknowledging the fact that if it is his will, he could change the situation. So what we're going to be talking about is the differences between Mary and Martha's response to Jesus in this passage, because I think it's so beautiful how it shows us how we could approach God in different ways. So first you have Martha, who's going in with expectation, saying, Jesus, I know that you could do this. I know that you could change this situation, but it is up to you. It's if you will it, that will come to pass. And now let's jump down to verse 28. She now goes and tells her sister Mary that Jesus has arrived. And it says she went and called her sister Mary, saying in private, the teacher is here and he's calling for you. So as opposed to Martha, who is going out to meet Jesus, Mary is getting a personal invitation from Jesus to come and speak with him. And it says that she rose quickly. She did not delay. She did not wait. She went to him. Now, Jesus had not yet come into the village, but was still in the place where Martha had met him. And the Jews who were in the house with Mary now decide to go off with Mary, following her as she's running to Jesus. And she doesn't just run to him and say hello. She runs to him and she starts crying at his feet, once again telling him of the pain she is in, that he was not there to save her brother. And she doesn't have the same conversation with him that Martha does. She doesn't say, well, I know it could have been different if you were here. She just simply says, you weren't here and my brother is dead. She's pouring out her heart before God with no hesitation. And it goes on to say that the people that were around her started to join in crying with her. And this deeply moved Jesus with compassion. And he began to weep too for his friends who had just had this loss. And so this demonstrates to us these different ways that we could approach Christ. We don't have to hesitate in going to meet him and sharing with him our heart, even if we're upset with him, even if we're angry with him. I can imagine Mary and Martha filled with emotions at the idea that their good, close personal friend, whom they've had to their home many times. Remember, Martha and Mary were the two people who had Jesus in their home. Mary already sat at Jesus's feet, listening to him preach. They believed that he was the Messiah. They believed he was who he said he was. And yet he wasn't there to save their brother. The anger they must have felt, the resentment maybe, all of these emotions that they felt, they didn't let them pull them away from God or keep them from running without hesitation to go before him and even tell him that they were upset. Neither one of them said, oh, I'm so happy you're here, you could change this. They both said to him, you could have saved my brother. You could have been here for this, and you weren't. They're accusing God of something. You know, oftentimes when we are going through something, we might be afraid to have those real conversations with God and tell him how upset we are at something that's happened in our lives. But this passage here shows us that we don't have to do that. Not even in the midst of great sorrow and pain do we have to hesitate in going to Jesus and telling him how we feel. So I just want to share that with you today. If you're going through something, don't let it delay you from coming to Christ. Go before him, cry out your heart before him, like Mary, in your misunderstanding and your inability to know what your circumstances are going to come to tomorrow. Or like Martha, go to him with expectation. Let him know that you know that he could change the circumstances, but that you are okay with his will being done in your life. God bless you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.